Somebody was thinking that they do know how I think, and I've always said that you really don't know how somebody else thinks unless you have their brain. Let's say you had $1 trillion brain. Oh. And you thought, well, all these innovations are worth $10 trillion. Fresh water, right? Greenhouses, architectural improvements, innovations to building, yes. Even the chimney, yes. I was a hod carrier, and you might not understand that. See this chimney right here? Yes. Rediscovering chimneys. If you never built scaffolding before and had to throw up a chimney, a 5 gallon bucket full of cement, yes, the thing is heavy. And then each one of these bricks, they have what's known as brick tongs, yes, and you have to lift them up at 7 at a time, yeah. And you get these huge soldiers, because you keep throwing shit up the chimney. Now, if you never built a chimney, not as a mason, but as a hod carrier, you do not understand how much work it is. I've built lots of chimneys. I don't know, probably 50 of them, right? And you build this scaffolding and you throw those bricks up there and you take that cement up there and you keep moving up until you finally get to the top of it. And the farther up you go, the heavier the shit is. Now, if you never built a chimney, you don't know what it feels like. In my mind, yes. The way I think, yes. I would build the chimney first because the scaffolding that goes around it, yes, wouldn't have this house around this fucking scaffolding. See, there are certain ways to build, yes, that could be a lot more efficient. Most contractors, right, they frame it all in, yes. They build the foundation, right, they put the walls around it. And then you're out here on scaffolding throwing these bricks up there and all this masonry, right, all the way to the top of it. And you're thinking to yourself, you were fucking stupid to build the house first, you idiot. Now, let's say, yes, I design chimneys. And I have the personal life experience to know that if I build the chimney first, right, and I use the chimney to secure the house, I would require a lot less joists across it. Yes. It's an innovative way of building where you build the structure that see this right here? Yeah. You think it's stupid, but I'm telling you right now, there's a lot easier way to build houses. You build the chimney first and you use the chimney as the support of the structure. Now, this chimney, yes, if you go down there, see, and there's like a fireplace in there and everything, right? And then I use this to actually support the house. I wouldn't have to have a lot of the infrastructure, right, necessary to support the roof and the ceiling and the walls. The chimney itself will not move. It's made out of masonry and brick. Now, my thought was, yes, let's say I was to employ, no, 20,000 18-year-olds in a very large lot where I just had them use forklifts to lift the bricks up there and the masonry. Yes. And then I had masons build chimneys. Right. And then I took them apart and I craned them to locations and I put them together as if it was able. Yes. If you were able. Yes. See, craning a chimney into place before building the structure. Yes. And using a forklift, yes, you would find it would be so much easier, right? Now, for some reason, people don't use flatbeds, right? They don't use forklifts. Now, let's say I had 20,000 18-year-olds that wanted to learn how to build chimneys, right? They may or may not want to become masons, but they do want to be hod carriers. And then I build the chimney as a custom designed chimney, yes. And then I use the chimney to support the actual structure itself instead of using beams across the top of it. Now, it sounds difficult, but when you really think about it, I could be building custom designed homes that have my innovations where the chimney is put first. Because as a support structure, no other, see, unless you've actually done it, you don't fucking know how to do it. Now, we've been building kind of backwards certain things. You put the chimney in first, and then you use the chimney to support the house, and the house will never move because the chimney won't move because it's made from brick and mortar. Yes, yes, yes. Here's another example of that. Pooch. Somebody probably framed the house in first, yes, and then expected you to scaffold around it, and then you had to put these bricks in, right? Then you end up putting scaffolding on the roof. Not the best way to do things. Oh, now when you take my power, right? Because you're the fucking judge. Pooch. If you don't know what I know, and I know a lot, yes, you would say it's crazy to build the chimney first and the house around it. I would say from personal life experience that building the house first and then putting the chimney in is a lot of unnecessary work. Now, I worked with a lot of private contractors that were masonry contractors. In fact, when I first got back from Denmark, I was 18 years old. And maybe Per and Kirsten Nielsen remember when we were doing some really light brick work. Per, the individual that was my host father in Denmark. He had learned to do a lot of construction, and lots of houses in Denmark are made from brick, and he could lay his own bricks, and he had a level, and he did know how to do it. And then I spent my 18th birthday, right, in Sweden. And I worked with some plasterers, right, and it was a Romness Herrgård, and it's a long story, but let's say I learned how to make plaster. And those plasters, they showed me how to make it, and you'd be surprised how moist it was. It looked at certain anatomical parts of women. But anyways, the weird part is I got back to the United States. Yes. And I decided to go out and get my job as a hod carrier. So I went to Mutual Materials there in Auburn, Washington. Stood there, kind of a big guy. Yes, I'd like to be a hod carrier. And my first employer, his name was Rob. Tremendous guy. he he was, and I got to working with some masons on some custom homes in the Kent area. Yes, and he said, "Go get me a brick stretcher." And I went walking around to all the masons. Well, I'm looking for the brick stretcher. They were laughing their ass off. I was such an idiot. I didn't know you couldn't stretch bricks. Yes. And then I go over, same first day, go get me some wall ends. And I'm like, okay. And I'm walking. You had to be there. There's no such thing as getting a wall end. Now, see, I had learned.